Hello and welcome to the Musical Instrument Investigator. Today we are on the website of Skinner Auctioneers based in the US, and we're going to have a look at their auction on fine string instruments. This auction is due to be live on December the 5th, which is actually tomorrow. It's December the 4th today. The buyer's premium for this auction is 25%. Once again, look at all the conditions of sale terms, etc. And if you're outside of the US especially, look at that in regards to kind of shipment, exports, etc, etc. There are about 210 lots in this auction, so without further ado, let's have a look what we have. So starting off with number one, we have a Spanish flamenco guitar by Felix Manzanero, Madrid, 1969. 800 to 1200 is the estimate there. Interesting flamenco guitar. Bit of information on condition there as well. A Spanish flamenco guitar by Jose Ramirez II, Madrid, 1947. 800 to 1200 is the estimate there. Has some provenance there. The collection of Saarbrück Zurn. Interesting peghead instrument there. And a Spanish flamenco guitar by Jose Ramirez II, Madrid, 1951. Again, 1200 to 1800 is the estimate. And a few bits here. Some information, another provenance collection of Saarbrück Zurn. There's some information here on condition, open back cracked bass side from the lower block, open top crack to the treble side, etc, etc. So there's information on the condition as well. And another Spanish flamenco guitar, Jose Ramirez III, Madrid, 1973. 2000 to 3000 is the estimate there. All very interesting. Another Spanish flamenco guitar, Arcangel Fernandez, Madrid, 1967. Let's have a look here. Another flamenco guitar, Santos Hernandez, Madrid, 1925. 8 to 12,000 here, so we're getting into more serious territory here. Neck, back and sides in good structural sound condition, loose binding, number of top cracks. Classical guitar, an Aria Maestro, $200 to $300. It's a fairly standard thing. A classical guitar, Guild Mark I, 1969. $100 is the estimate. Classical guitar, Mardones G50. Quite nice back. A romantic guitar, 19th century, estimates 200 to 300. Definitely needs a bit of work. And a parlor guitar by J. Howard Foote, 19th century, Chicago. 300 to 500 is the estimate there. Parlor guitar, 19th century. It's pretty normal. C.F. Martin & Co. 118 acoustic guitar from 1914. 800 to 1200 there. It's the estimate. C.F. Martin & Co. 018 acoustic guitar from 1926. Gibson L4 acoustic archtop guitar, 1930. Estimates $300 to $500. It's got some big cracks there. Poor condition, definitely. C.F. Martin & Co. D35 Dreadnought guitar, 1974. This is kind of size that people probably want. Oh, countertop string display and strings from 1930s. So yeah, that's curious. C.F. Martin & Co. Star 1 ukulele, 1925. So I bet that will probably be popular. And another ukulele, style 0, 1965. Gibson style A2 mandolin, 1920s. And an old model 33F grade 2 long neck 5-string banjo. Harmony Sonata professional archtop guitar from 1940. Guild X550 Stewart electric archtop guitar, 1956. Gretsch 6191 electromatic electric archtop guitar, 1956. Goya Model 80 electric guitar, circa 1960. This is pretty cool. Made by Hagström in Sweden. Fender Stratocaster electric guitar, 1971. Good pictures on Skinner's so far. Another Fender Stratocaster electric guitar, 1976. And a Fender Pro Reverb amplifier from 1965. A Showbud pedal steel guitar volume pedal. Hofner 500/1 Beatles bass from 1968. Modulus M92 electric bass guitar from 1992. And a viol bow, stamped Gerhard Penzel. See, the estimate is $200 to $300 there. Another viol bow there, stamped R. Scale. English Baroque violin bow, Brian Tunnicliffe. That's interesting. I've spoken to Brian Tunnicliffe on the phone. He is still making bows. I think he is about 85 years old. And it looks like I've seen quite a few of his bows. The stamp looks correct. I haven't seen that exact model before, but it looks correct. And he, I believe, was a pattern maker before, and then he learned how to make bows from Arthur Bultitude, I believe. So yeah, interesting. Be curious to see what that ends up going for. English Baroque violin bow, Julian H. Clark. Okay. Fluted snake with stick. Interesting. Silver mounted viola bow. Marked Alfred Knoll. Another silver mounted viola bow. Stamped Sartori. Nickel mounted viola bow attributed to Alphonse Rydell. Silver mounted viola bow. The Dorfler stamp. French silver mounted viola bow. Stamped Husson. English gold mounted viola bow, Malcolm Taylor, 1988. French silver mounted viola bow by Emile Francois Huchard. Looks like there's a certificate there as well. A Raffin certificate, that's the one that you want if you've got a French bow. Two Viola De Gambas, Henry Rhodes Brown, Washington DC, 1963. It's not quite nice. A treble Viola De Gamba there, labelled Made in Germany. Interesting. I like the it's quite Brescian scroll, very nice. Viola d'Amore in Gamba form, unlabelled. Treble Viola De Gamba attributed to Jim Reck. Interesting. Okay. American church bass, Abraham Prescott Concord, circa 1840. These church basses are quite interesting. A curious scroll there. Division Viola De Gamba, Antonio and Domingos Capella, in Espino, 1967. 1,000 to 1,500 there is the estimate. German cello there. And a half-size cello in bits. Labelled Sebastian Dallinger, Lauten and Geigenmacher in Vienna, 1782. German 7/8 size cello, circa 1800. German viola, Roman Teller, Erlangen, 1983. Another German viola there, the Strad label. A Czech viola. German viola for Kurt Brichter, made expressly for Kurt Brichter. Another German viola. A viola, possibly Italian here. Labelled Johannes Verotti. German viola in Baroque form, Ernst Heinrich Roth, Bourbon Ruth, 1964. Tyrolean viola with an Albani label. American viola by Lloyd Liu, 2003. Italian viola, School of Gaetano Scarabotto. It's an interesting looking thing. Silver mounted violin, Beau Frog, attributed to Swiss. Silver mounted violin bow, stamped Lothar Seifert. Nickel mounted violin bow. Another nickel mounted violin bow. Silver mounted violin bow. A violin bow stick. Another violin bow stick. Silver mounted violin bow. Another silver mounted violin bow. Nickel mounted violin bow. Another nickel mounted violin bow. Silver mounted violin bow. Another silver mounted violin bow. Another silver mounted violin bow. There's a lot of silver mounted violin bows. Another nickel mounted violin bow. English silver mounted violin bow. Stamped tubs. Silver mounted violin bow. Another silver mounted violin bow. Silver mounted violin bow, August Nürnberger. Gold mounted violin bow there, unstamped. Silver mounted violin bow. Silver mounted violin bow, Lloyd Liu. French silver mounted violin bow, Morison Frère. Has a Pierre Guillaume certificate, another one of the good certificates to have. French nickel-mounted violin bow, Charles Nicolas Bazin, 1890. French nickel-mounted violin bow, Celestine Emile Clasquin. French silver-mounted violin bow. Silver-mounted violin bow. Silver-mounted violin bow by Lloyd Lou. French silver-mounted violin bow, Emile François Houchard. Guillaume certificate there again. French nickel-mounted violin bow, Charles Louis Bazin, 1930. Gold-mounted violin bow by Henrik Caston. Interesting slide. 18 Pernambuco bow blanks. That'll be popular with the bow makers there. 10 Pernambuco bow blanks. 5 Pernambuco contrabass bow blanks. Ebony frog blanks. 18 Pernambuco bow blanks. Another 18 Pernambuco bow blanks. 18 Pernambuco bow blanks. Another 18 Pernambuco bow blanks. 10 Pernambuco violin and cello bow blanks. 10 Pernambuco violin and cello bow blanks. 10 Pernambuco violin and cello bow blanks. Another 10 bow blanks. 20 Pernambuco sticks and 1 bow blank. 10 Pernambuco sticks and 3 boards. 4 Pernambuco boards. 3 Pernambuco boards, a lot of Pernambuco in this auction. 18 Pernambuco blanks. Antoine Vidal, instrument and bows, or kind of bows anyway. 1, 2 and 3, interesting. Max Moller, violin makers of the Low Countries even. Albert W. Cooper, Cooper Collection. Klaus Gronke, it's all about German bows. 3 books on violins. Charles Beer on Antonio Stradivari. Peter Benedict, violin makers of Hungary. British Violin Making Association, the British Violin, that's a really good book. Group of books on violins and violin makers, a whole load of stuff there. Once again, loads more books there on the violin. Looks like the Fender book on American violin making is in there as well, or violin makers. More loads of books on violins. 3 books on violins. Bernard Millant and Raffin about bows, or French bows. Expensive book. Christopher Brown, Discovering Bows for the Double Bass. 3 books on Italian violins. Books and catalogues on bows. Groups of violin catalogues. Ramon Pinto Comas, Spanish luthiers there. Peter Benedict, Hungary again, makers of Hungary. A whole load of books on French makers. 6 books on Italian makers. Books on French violin makers. A lot of books. Collection of violin monographs. 11 books on Antonio Stradivari. Some good opportunities for books here. Etienne Vatelot's book on French bows. Catalogues on bows. Sidney Bowden on Pajot bowmaker. Books and catalogues on Italian violins. 4 books on violins. Violin making. Wemberg book in there as well, which is a good book. More violin books. They've really just lumped all the books in together, I think. German violin here, labelled Strad. Just a violin, no more information than that. American violin by Melvin Laclaire from Orange, 1939. German violin. French violin, Mircorn, 1900. A violin. German violin. Kind of interesting head on that one. Another German violin. French violin. Well, I quite like Skinner's because they usually have quite a few American violins. German violin again, but I don't think that this auction has that many American violins in. Unfortunately, the last one was amazing, but this one not so much. A German violin from Klingenthal. The German violin, Mark Neukirchen, 1920. A violin. This is very much like Brompton's kind of way of doing things. French violin here, 362. German violin for Johann Friedrich and brothers, circa 1919. The German violin, a lot of German violins. German violin, circa 1913. German violin, Mittenwald, circa 1910. Just a violin, possibly American or maybe not. The violin. There's a lot of imports into the US. Another just violin. German violin. Seems to be the main thing in this auction. Another German violin. These all look fairly normal. American violin, Lorenz J. Fisher, Milwaukee, 1936. German violin, Karl Hermann, Mark Neukirchen, 1930. American violin, E.E. Shepperton, Providence, 1871. That actually looks quite a nice instrument actually. The nice wood on the back. The waist looks quite narrow, but it could just be my eyes getting drawn by the figure. But that's quite interesting. I think there's some big items in this auction actually. American violin, Ulbrich Tata, Chicago, 1910. That's a nice back as well. A lot of these American violins have really nice backs, and they remind me a bit of some of the Neapolitan violins in the kind of 19th century, but then I believe that a lot of them bought wood from the US, so that might make sense. German violin in Baroque form. Okay. A violin. Another violin. These are all fairly generic looking things. French violin, Jean Bauer, Angers. French violin, J.B. Colin Mazar, Fille, in Miracle. French violin. Well, at least we haven't been subject to too many French violins, that's good. German violin, Heinrich Roth. An English violin here, labelled made by Peter Walmsley. Be interesting. It certainly looks quite interesting. I need to look at a few more Peter Walmsley violins to know how likely that is, but still interesting looking violin. Violin probably Scottish, 19th century. So that's got a very narrow waist, an interesting head, unlabelled. Interesting, they say Scottish for that. Italian violin by Andrea Zaneri, Parma, 2003. And I believe that, yes, soundpost cracks on the top and the back, which is why this is such a low estimate. And then if you really zoom in, I think you can see where there's possibly it's hard to say, but I'm sure there is a soundpost crack, as they say, but you know, you can get a bargain Italian violin potentially. Another violin. French violin by Henri Thubenel. Another violin here. Another violin. Another violin. American violin by William Voigt, New York. Another violin. English violin, circa 1790. Similar in a way to the one with the Walmsley label. 3 nickel mounted violin bows. Fine violin, viola and cello bows. 5 viol bows, that's kind of an interesting lot. 12 nickel mounted violin and viola bows. 13 violin bows, that's a good lot there. 14 violin and viola bows. 15 violin bows. 6 viola bows. 12 violin, viola and cello bows. 4 violin bows. 5 violin bows. German violin, Ludwig Glasel, Magna Kirchen, 1926. Italian violin by Fausto Mario Bertucci. There you go. 2.5 to 3,000, 3,500 is the estimate there. It's quite long. American violin by August Gumunda, New York, 1885. So it's one of the better early American makers. It's quite a long back as well. Italian violin by Cesare Castelli, Ascoli Piancino, in fact, 1952. American violin by Lloyd Liu, Cambridge, 2007. An American violin by John Friedrich, New York, 1904. Another one of the better American makers of the earlier period. Nice back on that. It's a nice wear as well. Italian violin by Alfio Batelli, 1974. 6 to 8,000 there. American violin by Lloyd Liu, Cambridge, 2017. A violin, possibly Italian. Just looking back there. French violin by Paul Blanchard, Lyon, 1888. Italian violin, Testore family there. 10 to 15,000 is the estimate. Certificate from J. and Arthur Beer, 1927. Nice scroll actually, it's a interesting one, that one. English cello, possibly Jacob Ford, circa 1780, 20 to 30,000 there, so we're getting into the higher realms here. Important double bass by Georges Chanot II, London, 1877. 30 to 50,000 is the estimate there. So looks like it's got some information on it. So there you go. If you're into double basses, and it's probably a rare opportunity there. An Italian violin, Alessandro Galeano, Naples, circa 1700, 90 to 120,000 is the estimate. It's got a Hills and Sons certificate from 1940. Reduced in size, apparently. Interesting. You see a bit of the condition, all the patches and everything. And another Italian violin, but this time by Ferdinando Galliano, circa 1770, estimates 120 to 180,000. Another Hill certificate from 1953. Or letters, sorry, not a certificate. Length of back 349. Very pure, minor repaired top. So cheek repair to peg box. Nice scroll. Some interesting documentation there. And that's it. Yeah, we've come to the end of the auction. Actually quite an interesting auction with quite a number of interesting items, some kind of good speculative lots. I didn't really have a great deal to say on a lot of them. A few kind of generic German kind of import violins, but yeah, no, a few interesting things. So this auction is happening tomorrow, so I'll put a link in the description and check it out if you're interested. I mean, there's a few things that are kind of interesting to me. Not that I've not tried buying anything from the US via an auction before, but there's definitely some curious stuff. And yeah, I always get interested by the Skinner's auctions. I find they have some kind of slightly more curious things sometimes. So yeah, I'll put a link in the description, check it out. And yeah, thanks a lot for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Bye. Many thanks for tuning in to the Musical Instrument Investigator. I hope that you enjoyed the video. If you did, then please like, subscribe and turn on notifications, and watch out for the next video coming soon.